Introducing Minor Wisdom Quintet.
1, 2, a skidda-didda-doo.
Minor Wisdom.
So I want to take a minute, so just sit right there and let me tell you how I'm about to step up on my soapbox again. This shouldn't take very long, but I do want to mention a couple things before I get on that soapbox. One, a couple of weeks ago, I got to spend about almost 12 hours with Jay Thomas outside a setting of one-act play. We went to the WWE Royal Rumble here in Houston, Texas at Minute Maid Park, and it was a blast. Spent way too much money on all that. Luckily, my wife does not listen to this podcast, which is, I don't know if it's actually ironic or more of an Alanis Morissette type ironic, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. It was a blast. We sat fourth row, or as Sam Malone used to say, fourth row. And it was just a lot of fun. We got to get sweat on, almost got bled on by Beth Phoenix. But I highly recommend, if you ever get the chance to go to a live wrestling event, to do so, because the theatrics, again, we've talked ad nauseum about this stuff in the past, in the archives, as they say. But theater and wrestling go hand in hand. Speaking of theater, TTEC was also a couple weeks ago, ended last week actually, so a week ago, but TTEC, the Texas Thespians Educator Conference, was just, again, a blast. It's intimate. The teachers are motivated to be there. The workshop artists are motivated to be there. All the workshops have people in them. There's nobody in the hallways making out or doing anything like that. Like at the big festival, nobody's snuggling. There's no drama. Everybody is learning and getting stronger and being better educators. And I love that. I love seeing that. I love being a part of that. Even if I am leaving the profession for just a little bit, I really enjoyed TTEC. I think it really truly is the best conference that we put on, only because it's just so streamlined. It's just so simple. Everybody's having fun with the cash cube, getting bats cash, and even those people that are just getting $20 can leave with something they did not arrive with, a makeup kit, something to that effect. We left with 10 makeup mirrors and all kinds of other stuff because Miss Duga, who will be on this podcast at some point, but she probably is not even listening to, because she's my work wife, but Nicole won a ton of money, so we got quite a bit. And good for them. They can use that next year when I'm not there. Anyway, so TTEC was great. Another element of TTEC that I truly, truly enjoyed is my sister. My sister got to present. She's a social worker through Texas Children's Hospital, and she presents on trauma and how to teach students that have had traumatic events in their lives. She teaches classes, workshops to teachers about how to take care of themselves through traumatic events, not only their traumatic events, but students' traumatic events, and how to just take care of yourself as far as taking on all of that extra stress. And the care that we give to those students has a toll on our lives as well. So if you get the chance to see her, she may or may not be in Bloomington as well, because she really made an impression on some of the sort of circuit people, the people that are doing these all over the country. So if you get to see my sister, Marissa Novitz, she's a shorter, prettier, smarter, not funnier version of me. And she's older, much older, significantly older, way older than me. So there's my kid. Anyway, two other things I want to talk about, and then I'm going to get to our interview with Mr. Adam Delka, who also teaches in Lamar Consolidated ISD with last week's guest, Kendra Willoughby. They were actually sitting next to each other during these interviews and did a heck of a job of being quiet while the other one was talking. So I want to thank him for that. If anything, I want to thank him for that, but that was great. The other two things I wanted to quickly talk about on the Technical Theater Educators page with Donnie Covington as the lead, and great page if you're not on it. But that page on Facebook, a school in Austin posted some pictures of their Seussical, and it made everyone weep with jealousy, and even myself. Lots of lights, really cool 50 by 20 foot LED wall that is apparently theirs. And I started thinking, I don't know if I would want that in my school. Now, to rent something for my show that is that monstrosity, no, that is that monstrous, excuse me, would be fine. But to have it in my school, to have to take care of it, to never really give the opportunity to alter anything, because a 50 by 20 foot screen, yes, you can change it into panels and do all that kind of stuff. You could, but now you have this thing that doesn't give the students a lot to look forward to outside of high school. I used to say, and this changed after many years outside of the university, but I used to say I think I peaked when I went to HSPVA, when I went to the high school for the performing and visual arts, because they gave me everything I could possibly ask for in the way of moving lights, in the way of most up-to-date lighting boards, sound systems. We had a scene shop that was equipped with all of the latest tools. And then I go off to start doing community theater, and you don't get any of that. You're lucky if you get that. I went to work at Fitzgerald's, which I had a couple park cans and some Fresnels and an old Leprechaun board, and this is supposed to be a touring rock and roll house. So as much as I love all of that cool gear, and it looks great, and I think it's great that the kids are learning this stuff, I'm hoping that those kids don't expect now to walk into another theater when they're out of the education system and expect to see all that stuff, or be disappointed, or hold their nose up and say, well, I used to work with this stuff, similar to I do when I talk about HSPVA. It creates some burning bridges. It creates a ego that you might have that you shouldn't have, because you're 18 years old, 19 years old, and you don't know jack squat about what to do in this world when it comes to marketing yourself and making sure that you are a feature in this world as a designer. You get spoiled. You don't know how to sort of work with nothing. And one of the best shows I've ever done was a show where I used 4 Home Depot floodlights on a Brian Burns Streetcar Named Desire sequel. The show was horrible. Sorry, Brian, you're probably not listening, but anybody involved with that maybe. The show was not very good, as you can tell, because it's never been seen again. But it was beautiful, and it was done really well, and it was done with zero money. And it's because we challenged ourselves to make this beautiful show out of nothing. And a student that has a 50 by 20 foot LED wall with 56 moving lights and LEDs and all this stuff at their disposal when they're just 16, 17, 18 years old is not going to learn how to struggle through things. There's my take on that. And finally, zone competition. I'm going to try and be brief about this, but in my district, we're doing zone competition. We have 8 schools, 8, and we're doing a zone. 4 schools in each zone. And yeah, give kids gifts, give kids trophies and ribbons, and 7th place is still a place. BS. I am vehemently opposed to giving kids 7th place trophies. The biggest gripe I have with doing a zone with 4 schools in it is that one school at the end of the day is sitting there alone, defeated, not advancing. Yes, they're alternate, sure. But at that level, how many alternates are truly going on? Very few. So they're sitting there in the theater with 3 super excited, happy to be moving on to district, good for them schools. And you're all alone. And now you as a director have to tell your kids there are 3 champions and 1 loser. And that doesn't happen anywhere. So why do it? That's my piece. Let's move on to something a little more happy. This week's Groaner Joke of the Week, and then my interview with the amazingly talented, intelligent, humble, good-looking, we'll throw it in there. I mean, Adam, you're good-looking guy. Mr. Adam Delka. This comes to me from my elementary theater teacher. Why would you never bathe with a Pokemon? Because he'll Pikachu.
I am the Fulshire High School theater director. I also teach, direct, choreograph, and sometimes perform at Stageworks Theater. What kind of got me here to this point?
Well, there you go.
Well, it all started off with a bang in Superior, Nebraska, a small Midwestern town, Kansas-Nebraska border. Started doing local shows, church shows. At the time, elementary school music director, Teresa Christensen is her name. She was a choir teacher, and then the high school English teacher, they would do the musicals and shows at the high school. We did not have a theater teacher at the high school. So as an elementary kid and junior high kid, I was recruited to come be like the kids in shows, Oliver. And then once I got into high school, tried to do as many shows as possible, obviously, but also played football, basketball, miserable fail.
Yeah, you're a taller guy.
Tall guy.
Yeah.
Ran track, loved track, lifeguarded, worked on farms, pig farms.
You just stayed busy.
Stayed super busy, but always had like a passion for the arts, especially music.
Right.
I thought I was going to be a choir teacher or a vocalist. That was my bachelor's degree from Austin College is in music, primary instrument voice. Got into college in Texas, couldn't wait to get out of Nebraska. At the time, I thought it was the worst possible place to be. But got to Texas because it's warmer. Looking back now, I really have a fond appreciation and deep respect for that community that I grew up in.
Right.
In Nebraska, super community centered, and everybody had your back. And good times, bad times, people were there for you. But Austin College, music, my choir director in college said, I told him, I said, I want to do more theater. So he suggested I go to AMDA, American Musical and Dramatic Academy. Went up there, did the program for 2 years in New York City, learned a lot, loved it. Came back to Texas, finished my master's in education, and then started teaching. Teaching in Grandview, Texas.
Yeah.
That's where Janet Tiller is at.
Yeah.
It was awesome, starting teaching position. Great community, really helped me understand teaching and get my feet wet.
Yeah.
I was hired as a choir director, but immediately got thrown into one-act play, and I was like, what in the
Whole new world. Yeah, whole new world.
One-act play. But it was just like kind of like storm with stars aligned and all kinds of stuff, because that very first year we went to state for 2A, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it can be done, and it's kind of like married my passion for the arts and music with competition.
Because you had a little bit of an athletic background.
Yes. So it was like, hell yes, let's compete. It's fun. I did that for a few years. Worked in Cleburne for a year, and then moved down to Texas to work with Masquerade Theater, or moved down to Houston to work with Masquerade Theater, which was at the time the resident theater company at the Hobby Center.
Right.
Did that for 5 or 6 years. A resident company member, worked in A-Leaf as an elementary music educator.
Okay. What school?
Alexander Elementary.
Okay. Sure. I was an A-Leaf product.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
And that, my friend, is where I really learned how to teach.
Right.
When you teach elementary, you learn how to time manage.
Structure, time management.
Structure. Yeah. It's anything, any day.
Yeah.
It's bell to bell, minute to minute, like surviving second to second with little kids. Do I ever want to do it again? No. But it was
Valuable.
teaching experience. And then I decided, okay, I still want to do some performing, still do want to do some directing, but I'm ready to move up to some bigger
Sure.
kids again. Because I was doing high school when I first started, went down. Elementary allows for more evening time for
Right.
rehearsals, performances, etc. So went to middle school, Polly Ryan Middle School, and Reading Junior High for a few years before moving to Fulshire, which
Okay.
opened up Fulshire High School. We're now in year 4. Great group of kids, hardworking.
So this is the first graduating, or first full 4-year
This is
graduating
my first
class.
full year.
Yeah.
So I had these kids since they were freshmen.
Right.
When we opened up Fulshire, it was also Lehman Junior High at the
Okay.
time. We opened up both campuses, so I was theater director at both schools.
Okay.
So some of these kids that were 6th graders when I was teaching
Right.
at Lehman are now freshmen.
Gotcha.
So kind of
You've been seeing these kids for a while.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we're starting to see like the fruit of the labor
Right.
and how far they've come and
Right.
what they're capable
That'll be
of.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, in a couple years when they're done that 7-year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That was good for you.
Yeah, it's fun.
So what is so I'm curious about AMDA. Maybe this
Yes.
is a personal curiosity.
I'll take it.
because they sometimes get a bad rap.
They do.
Maybe because they market, you know, which I know that sounds silly, but they send out all this marketing paraphernalia to us, to directors, to high school directors, and they're not looked at as necessarily the best place to go if you want to go to the university world. But training wise, it seems like, because and we'll get into it, you're still an active director, actor in the professional side of things.
Correct.
Was it everything that we think it's not? I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, maybe a different situation for me.
Right. Is it conservatory?
It's conservatory.
Yeah, okay.
There is an academic side, like if you want to do the conservatory program
Right.
and then go into the academic, like
Sure.
finish at a degree, that is a possibility.
Okay.
I had already finished my bachelor's, so
So
I
there
was
was no-
not
yeah.
fresh out of high school. I
Right.
think, and I don't want to like mismarket
Right.
the school, but I think a lot of kids out of high school go there and maybe they're just not ready
They get
for that New
overwhelmed a
York
little bit. Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. So it's not about the school as much as it is about the
Could be.
culture, the environment. Yeah.
Could be
Yeah.
maturity.
Yeah.
I was placed in a group that was primarily like 22, 23, 24,
Right.
25, 6-year-olds. Like
Right.
we were still immature, but more mature than the kids straight out of high
Right.
school. And I did notice that the group that I was with, the majority of us were able to graduate and
Sure.
stuck through the program. I mean, I keep up with a lot of them on Facebook and networking, and
Right.
they're doing stuff in the business.
Right.
A lot of the kids that were fresh out of high school, they just struggle
Right.
a lot. It's just a hard place to go when you're from middle of nowhere, Nebraska, wherever, Texas. and
Yeah, how
try
was
to-
how was that for you? Because you weren't that far away from being moved from Nebraska.
Correct.
Had you ever been to New York or any sort of large hustle and bustle like
Sure,
that?
sure. I had traveled quite a bit as a
Okay.
kid, like European tours, and then
Okay.
in college.
So it
did,
wasn't
like,
that new to you?
No,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I always felt like a city kid in a small town.
Okay.
I always knew that my heart was not in a small
Right.
community.
Right.
Love where I came from and really appreciate
Yeah.
what I had there. Wouldn't change a minute of it.
Do you drive through that? Not that we're going back to Lincoln anymore, but do you drive through there
Okay.
to go to Lincoln?
It's the weirdest thing. So when we went to nationals the last few years, we would drive up I-35, and when we crossed the Kansas-Nebraska
Yeah.
border, I would all point in the bus, 30 miles to the left, down this highway.
That's
It's
your
my little
hometown.
hometown, you know, and we would spend the night in Concordia.
Yeah.
And at that
Kansas,
little Holiday
yeah.
Inn Express,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I would run across the street every morning and get a Taco Bell taco. 'Cause
Was that like home?
Yeah, it's like home. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. It's Midwest Tex-Mex.
Well,
let me tell you.
I know Taco Bell. Yeah. But
Taco John's.
oh, Taco John's.
Taco John's.
Oh, okay.
Taco John's. Sorry.
No, it's
Taco
all right.
John's.
Yeah, I was
The
like
potato
Taco Bell
Olays.
is-
Yes.
Okay. Taco John's.
Yes.
So you were the only one, probably.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I have a few believers now because I made them try it.
That's pretty funny. There's like Del Taco too that I know some
Yeah.
people swear by.
Yes.
Very California type taco,
But if you grew up in the Midwest, it's like Amigos or
Taco John's.
John's.
That's funny. It's not also a gas station too.
It is not a gas
okay,
station.
I was gonna
it's
say.
an actual
Yeah,
establishment.
yeah. Because down here there are like so many taco places that are tucked away inside of an Exxon.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to trust those.
Yeah, I don't trust them.
Because petroleum and bacon are not always the best
don't
mix.
coincide,
yeah.
no.
Although grease is that's funny. So you are still an active actor and director?
Yes.
Okay. And we talked about this yesterday. The balance. So being a high school director is already enough.
Absolutely.
So what do you do to get yourself get yourself all that time to be able to direct outside, act outside? You were just in cabaret.
Yep.
You weren't just in cabaret. You were cabaret.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Like, what's the magic?
Though I don't know if there's magic. I guess I kind of all goes back to my roots, having to learn work ethic and
Sure.
responsibility at an early age, working on farms and working for family members and babysitting and lifeguarding and grocery stores and restaurants.
Yeah.
And like, I've always had a job. Like ever since I was probably 11 years old. Gave me independence, gave me some financial freedom, gave me like sense of, I don't know, just a sense of
Sure.
belonging and value. You know, somebody needs you,
Yeah.
which is important. And now I just feel like, yes, maybe I'm a workaholic in some people's eyes, but I'm pretty driven. I like to create. I like to produce. I like to perform. I like to put it all together and process.
Sure.
The process of putting it all together is what's so fun.
Right.
Just from that first audition or that first production meeting or that concept or that color palette or that choreography move. I mean, it's just, there's so many things, and I love it. And how do I balance it? It's hard. I would lie if I say it was easy, and it's just what I'm used to, because I struggle sometimes. It's the truth. I get very tired. Matter of fact, I'm pretty exhausted. This weekend, we just closed our school show last weekend, and still in the middle of strike.
Caught up.
Yeah, I'm still getting caught up.
I understand that. Yeah.
It's just it never ends, but I don't ever want it to end.
Right.
I want it to. We've already auditioned for the next show,
Yeah.
the next two shows, and
Yeah.
on Tuesday we auditioned for the next musical. It's like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I'm also choreographing for a production of She Loves Me right now, like on top of it. It's time management. I keep an old-fashioned calendar where I write things down and I carry it around with me and I schedule things out. And I'm honest with my employers and my students about when I am available to do what.
Sure.
And if I say I can choreograph or direct or be in something, I say, here's what I can do for you.
Right.
And then luckily
Very
I've been
upfront.
I've been very privileged to have people that have been willing to work with that kind of schedule.
Sure.
It's not always the case. Usually you have to bend and mold to everyone else's schedule.
Right.
So I guess that's worked in my favor.
Well, once you prove that your schedule works for,
Yes.
or that you're willing to make it work, and the product doesn't suffer.
Right.
I mean, why not hire you? So,
Right.
Yeah, I get that. That's
Yeah.
good. What is? I'm always curious about this, and I just had this last week, and I don't know when this will drop. So maybe this is, maybe we're in March right now. I don't know. But as of this recording, we closed our musical last week too, and when we were done, the kids, I always find, they're like, Minor, you don't seem like upset. I'm like, it's another show. Like,
Right.
when you not that I'm old by any means, but when you get to a certain point, you've done so many of these that it's just like there's a process. We're done now. Let's
yes.
move on. How do you feel when you end a show? Because you do that. You do so many, so often, not just at your school, but
Right. Sometimes it's an emotional closing,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm sad to see the work go away,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears literally that go into pretty much each and every production.
Yeah.
If I do something, I'm going to put my all into it, and I expect my students, the people that I'm working with, my colleagues, the people that I'm with, to do the same.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not going to be involved. But like you, lately when a show closes, yeah, it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll be sad to not see all those sequin costumes on stage.
All that glitter.
All that glitter, because damn it, they looked good.
Yeah.
But that's also the beauty of doing a show.
Yeah.
It's fleeting.
Yeah.
And it's an experience. And if we constantly had that same experience, it would be taken for granted.
Right. Good. What do you have a trade-off in your classroom during production season? Meaning, are you doing less during the day, bell to bell, when you have a musical on the horizon or a show on the horizon?
Great question. I wouldn't say less. I would say it's redirected in a different
Okay.
way. When we're in like full production mode, tech week, or we're in the middle of the run,
Yeah.
there's just other things to focus on.
Right.
And I use the daytime for the productions, especially production classes, especially tech classes. That's what they're there for.
Right.
You know, if it's sorting the laundry,
Right.
that's got to be done at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that
Oh yeah.
they have to do it.
No, when I have students, not to interrupt you, but when I have students ask, what do we do in this class, production, or even advanced tech, I say we do what's needed.
Yep.
And if something's not needed, then that's the day that we can pop open an LED or learn about sound or build a flat just for the sake of learning, becoming better carpenters.
Yeah.
But until then, we got to do what needs to be done to support the department. It goes along with that whole, we're not only educators and directors, but we manage our own theater company.
Correct.
So
And we're
need
skill
that.
builders.
Yes, yeah, we're skill builders, exactly. So that's why there's so much about the Kate stuff right now. Are we a part of that or are we not?
Right.
Anyway,
I like to-
I'll let people argue that one.
I even like in my Theater 1 classes, like, it's good to see them do some of that work, because then I see who I can
Yep.
build on for the next year.
Do
And
you have freshmen in your technical theater classes?
a couple.
Okay.
Right now we have one technical theater period,
Okay.
and it's kind of a mixed bag of people that
Advanced,
have done
yeah.
a lot, and people that are just in there, and then people that are green but want to learn more.
Right.
Like we have a freshman that wants to be the stage manager,
Sure.
and we have a senior that's a stage manager, so we paired them up
Gotcha.
as kind of mentor partnership.
We have a freshman right now that's a stage manager, and she's already the best stage manager I've ever had in 10 years of teaching.
Awesome.
It's one of those like, oh my gosh.
Treat her like gold.
What? What? Just a great thing to have.
Yeah.
You play favorites? No, she's amazing.
She's good.
It's like,
You know what? And once the kids see how amazing she is,
Yeah.
they'll know that she's not a favorite. She's just
right.
damn good.
And what, not to get off on a soapbox or tangent, but like what makes a great stage manager that I always try to preach in the high school level is that they don't care if you at that point want to be their friend or not.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to, if you do, that's great. But in high school, it's all about that social element.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have stage managers, they get caught up in, oh my gosh, they don't like me right now. It's like, no. You have a job over here, and then during the day or Saturday and Sunday, by all means, be best friends. But right now, you got to do this job, and she's really good at. The good ones are at separating its work time and its play time.
Right.
And that's so hard to teach.
It is.
But anyway.
because it's a vulnerable age.
Yeah. So what do you have on the horizon professionally?
Working on She Loves Me right now,
Right.
choreographing for that. This summer, choreographing for production of Matilda.
Oh, okay. That's a hot show right now.
It's a hot show. So that'll be kind of fun. And then next year's season's still kind of up in the air.
Sure. Well, it's literally, last day of January right now. So
Right.
You got some time.
Yeah.
What is the show that you still haven't done that you need to do before you leave this earth?
In what capacity?
Any capacity that you want to marry yourself to for a while, for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever.
Wow. Okay.
That currently exists. Don't say I'm going to write one. I mean, you could, I guess.
Well, I do feel like there should be a production of Tu Wong Fu, the musical. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
Yeah, I mean, do it. It's a great movie.
Vita Bohem, I feel like, is
Yeah.
calling my name,
Yeah.
but that's just me. As far as like what's currently out there, I want to be in or choreograph or something, be a part of a professional production of Sondheim's Follies.
Okay.
I love that music. I think it's just such a tragically beautiful, like, well-written show. The music,
Yeah.
and it really just it puts this whole theater and performing thing in perspective, and
Yeah.
it kind of like glorifies like the heyday of it, and
Right.
then once that's over, like what happens, and these stars that aren't anymore, and the relationships and the friendships and the rivalries,
Right.
and just I see it, and I feel it, and I've been there, and I am there, you
Yeah.
know, and now
Is Sondheim a guy for you?
he is.
Yeah.
I like his music. I think it's challenging.
Yeah, it is.
It speaks to me on certain levels.
Yeah.
And just like, Fosse,
Right.
choreography I love, speaks to me on
Yeah.
certain levels. It's sexy, it's deceivingly challenging, yet looks simple.
Yeah.
Just lots of
Now,
fun.
I don't want you to offend anybody, but
Okay.
is there a show that you've done in high school that you thought you were very proud of it, you thought it was a great show, but you're like, man, if I could do this professionally with a professional crew of people, actors, crew, whatever, it would just be that much more fun and that much more elevated? I know my answer.
Yeah, we just closed Chicago. Of course, I'd love to
Yeah.
be in a professional version of
Right.
Chicago. That's just an amazing show.
Yeah.
I've been in My Fair Lady, but I also love My Fair Lady. It was a
Okay.
beautiful story. I also like the Bartlett Share, like kind of reimagining of it. And just thought that was beautiful. The Lincoln Center, would love to be a part of something like that.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
What do you miss besides Taco John?
Okay.
What do you miss from your home?
Wow. I do miss that connection with family. Well, it's nice to have distance, and I guess distance makes the heart grow
Right.
fonder, but I do miss a lot.
How often do you get to go back?
Depends, a couple times a year
Okay.
usually.
Where do you fly into? Kansas City?
Sometimes it's Wichita, sometimes it's Omaha,
Okay.
usually Omaha, because
Okay.
then I can swing down through Lincoln and visit my aunt and uncle,
Okay.
cousins. A lot of my family still lives in the little town
Right.
area, so
And but it's very comforting for you.
it is.
Yeah.
It's always home, feels
Yeah.
like home. Not a lot changes.
When you go back, do they put you to work?
Um,
Because you said you did some farming, you did that kind of stuff.
so it's interesting. I think as I've gotten older, they know that I'm less and less valuable on,
Sure.
on the family business. I usually end up like, I'm a mama's boy. I stick around and help my mom out as
Right.
much as possible.
Sure.
She likes me to help clean out closets and stuff like that, and I'm happy to do so.
She'll put you to work, but
She will
not
put-
that same work.
Yes.
More indoors.
Yes. And I don't mind it. I would do it if
Yeah.
my dad asked me to do it. It's
Yeah.
just, he knows.
Yeah. Once you
He's
get
got
to-
another son for that.
Sure. Okay. Gotcha. Do you have family that has migrated away from that area that you get to go see in other parts of the country?
Not really.
really?
I do have an uncle that lives down here in Texas,
Okay.
but he's always lived in Texas, and that was kind of my first introduction to Texas, because as a young kid we would travel down during the summers
Yeah.
and go to Six Flags
Okay.
and stuff like that. So that was like, oh, it's so warm down here in
Right.
December, and I'm
Were
like,
you like Olaf?
yes, yes, exactly.
When it snows down here? Oh, sorry, there are air quotes. Snows.
Yeah.
Are you just like just the kids are so excited, but you're like,
I
come
look
on.
forward to it, because if it does any sort of like snowing,
Yeah.
that means there's no school. I don't, there's one flake in
Any
the air,
sort.
and the whole city shuts down. I'm like, all right, well-deserved vacation.
Right.
Because of course, when I grew up, it was snowing all the time, and my parents didn't buy the snowblower until after I graduated.
Right.
Just
Nope.
like the rotting lawnmower.
Right.
After I graduated,
Right.
so.
No chains on the tires yet.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
The riding lawnmower after you graduated.
Yes.
I like that. Well, what else do you got for me? I mean, like, I want to. I kind of feel like I want to promote you, but at the same time, you're not a business, but you do so much. Like, the cabaret thing. So I want you to actually speak about that. So you were what the hell? Why am I like the MC? Thank you. I was trying to think of this French. I was like, MC. How did that come about? You were like, there were so many. It was a buzz. There was a buzz about Adam is doing this role and he's
Wow.
killing it,
Wow.
and so many people were talking about it, and it wasn't close, right? Wasn't it? Was it up in Conroe? Or am I wrong?
Up in Jersey Village.
Jersey Village. Okay, I knew it wasn't like super duper close, but like, what did that mean to you? Because it seemed as though it was a big deal that you were doing this. To us, maybe not to you.
Oh, it did. It did.
Yeah.
Every role is special. I think that one's particularly special.
Yeah, that's a difficult role.
It's a difficult role. It's a challenging role. I'm not 20-something anymore. I'll be 40 next Saturday.
Okay.
And I'm feeling it.
Right.
And I'm feeling it. And my body is telling me, you can't do all the things that you used to do.
Right.
But in a lot of ways, as somebody who's now getting to a certain age in my life, not that I'm old, because I don't feel old,
Right.
but I've experienced things, and I've seen things, and I've done things that have informed my person, that have helped inform my character more.
Right.
I feel like I understood the role more.
Okay.
I've played the role before.
Okay.
I played the role when I was in my 20s,
What,
or early
for,
30s,
Okay.
With Masquerade Theater, and while I felt like I did a good job, I don't know that I really tapped into
Sure.
who he was or who he is and what he. I think on the surface I understood what his purpose was in the story, but I felt like this round, I really was able to understand
Right.
this journey with
Right.
this character and how real his world was and is and what it means to people. I think one of the most powerful moments I've ever had was after opening night. I'm standing in the lobby in my full costume concentration camp costume, and this little Jewish couple comes up to me, and they told me that in very thick accents that they had come over to the United States
Right.
and had escaped all of the persecution.
Yeah.
Very young children, and they were in tears, and they were just speechless.
Yeah.
And that story and the role and how everything still needs to be told.
Right.
And as educators, that's our job.
Right.
And as performers, it's so easy to get caught up in the role and just the fame of it all on any level.
Right.
High school, community theater, Broadway, you get caught up on, oh, I'm a big star now.
Yeah.
No, you're telling a
storyteller.
story,
Yeah.
and it's got to have meaning.
And you have to do it the same every time
Yeah.
because the crowd is different.
Yeah.
and they didn't see you last night.
Right.
That's a big deal too. I remember with the first time I ever saw Cabaret, I was a teenager, and I knew the music because I was a nerdy theater kid,
Yeah.
right? But I didn't know the story. And I went to, this was on Broadway, I went to see the show, and I'm Jewish, so I knew nothing. And at the end of the act, these Nazi flags come falling down from the sky, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This just like, it just hit
It got
me, because
real.
my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. And it just, I didn't expect it. I didn't know this was happening. I knew that there was the time period. I knew, like but I didn't think they just came flying down, and the stage was just covered in these swastikas, and it was one of, if not the most impactful moments I've ever experienced as an audience member.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean I get that the couple coming up to you and stuff. So
The show, while it's told through the MC and through this, you live the story through Sally.
right,
But I feel like the show is really about the song that show really that speaks to me is Fräulein Schneider's "What Would You Do?"
Right.
Because it's all about leading up to what we now know as the Holocaust.
Right.
You know, the German community being in the midst of this upheaval and this takeover, and people being forced with real decisions of how to survive,
Right.
not knowing what was to come. Just like we don't know what's to come in our own lives, in our own present situation. Fräulein Schneider did not know. What would you do
Right.
in that time? And I don't know.
yeah,
We can all look back and say, oh, I would have done this differently. But you don't know
Yeah.
in that moment.
no,
She was older. She had a business. That's how she survived.
yeah,
She
Yeah.
couldn't take that risk.
yeah.
And
You got to put yourself in that world to figure that out. And how do you do that? Yeah.
And I feel like this go around with this production, the people playing those roles and the people in the cast and the production team, led by Michael Montgomery and Drew Weiser. And I helped choreograph some of that, but like it was so immaculately put together.
Sure.
Like the people were so powerful and they understood it.
Right.
It wasn't just showboating.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, it's powerful.
I don't want to end on a down.
I know, right?
So I'm staring at your Thespis
Oh, yeah.
Award.
Yeehaw!
The first Thespis Award
Wow.
for the Texas Thespians.
What an honor.
Yeah, so you're going on some plaque somewhere, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Probably at Kendra School. I don't know. We're all getting Adam Delka tattoos.
You
after
can all get a
this.
T-shirt.
Yeah, we're all getting, yeah. So the Thespis Award is for hard work and dedication. The idea of Thespis is that he stood out in front of the crowd and said, I'm going to create dialogue now. Is that cool? I'm sure he said it much differently than that.
Sure.
But why? I know you don't. You want to stay humble, and you're like, I mean, I appreciate this award. It's great and all. But tell me why you think you've earned it.
It's a great question.
You have earned it. This isn't me trying to tell you I don't believe you.
Right. I don't know. It was a pleasant surprise,
Yeah.
and I totally appreciate the
Yeah.
award, and I feel like I understand why I was awarded it. There's a lot of deserving educators out there, but I don't know. Maybe the cabaret thing was a buzz. I don't know, and and maybe there was like a recent Facebook thing where 10 posts about 10 days, 10 posts about performances, and like looking back at all those performances and trying to post things that meant something. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of posts, pictures, and things that I skimmed through, but.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just done a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of educational theater shows. I've done a lot of professional shows. I've worked on a lot of projects. And like you said, the question earlier, how do you balance it?
Yeah.
Maybe it is about balance. Maybe it's about like showing that it can be done. Maybe showing that it's possible that teaching is a part of performing.
Yeah.
It can be like possible to be a performer and an educator, and that those dreams don't have to die if you want it to happen. Because still, in my heart of hearts, I want to be a performer.
Sure.
Like, I love teaching, and I don't regret teaching, and I think it's made me who I am today,
Right.
and it's going to be a part of my future.
Right.
But I also love performing.
Good.
I don't know really why I love performing, because I'm truly an introvert. I'm pretty shy.
Most performers are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very common thing. And it's like the opposite of me as a designer technician who's not introverted.
Right.
You know, it's a funny anomaly that there's so many introverted actors and that need, it's like a security blanket, I guess, if you will, that
Right.
once they feel the lights and everything is happening around them, it's able to let them kind of just release.
But I can let it go.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
certainly can.
Well, thanks, Adam.
Hey,
Yeah.
anytime. I appreciate it.
Minor wisdom.